Hi there. This is Willie Felton. I'm the Director of Technology at Seattle Academy. I wanted to take a few minutes to make this video to explain these attendance reports that are shown within Veracross about your students' attendance. I get a lot of questions about these, and I think they are well-founded because this document is a little bit difficult to decipher at times. So I'm going to take probably longer than I normally would to explain some examples here for you. And so as you look at your student's attendance report, how to make sense of it. The first thing to know is that the attendance document that shows up on Veracross is per trimester. So you have to pay attention to which trimester you're actually looking at, fall, winter, or spring. The one I have in front of me here happens to be an example of a student's for winter. So let's look at how we read this. At the very top, we have the days enrolled and the days attended. In the spring, we had 55 days of class. This student attended 54. There's their attendance percentage. If I had looked at this on the day of school, it would show us what their status was today. The very top part of this screen is the daily attendance. So if I may explain what daily attendance means, it's what is their status for the day. They only get one. So let's say for the day they were either absent, they were tardy, or they left early. Now, the exception also here is called imperfect, which I'll talk about in a second. So that's their daily attendance, and that's not to be confused with their class attendance, which they have many per day. Let's just look at the students. So this student has no unexcused absences, one excused absence for a total of one. The E is excused. One unexcused tardy for the day, 0 excused tardies for the day for a total of 1. And this report is trying to break down those values. So the absent excused is right here. Now, a daily absence can only be excused by a parent. I guess if there's maybe a note from a counselor could do the same thing, but basically it all comes from the parent. Now, I want to explain the difference in a daily attendance being excused should always come from a parent. So if they're ever excused, that's going to be something came from parents in some way, a phone call, the website, maybe they told James, said, hey, my kid's not going to be there today, whatever, as long as it came from the parent. Tardy unexcused for the day generally means, and this is for upper school and middle school, that they came in and signed in at the kiosk. The kiosk right at the front of the school, whenever they come in late, they sign in, they get a note from front desk, and they go up to their class. So that's tardy unexcused. Generally, that just means they came in late and signed in at the kiosks. Early dismissals, those can happen from sports, so they have to go to their track meet, or a parent calls in, or the student comes to the front desk and says, I need my mom or dad to pick me up. We will give them an early dismissal. Again, you can see here, mom picked up at the middle school front desk, 10:53 a.m. So early dismissals can be sports, they can be student started, which we will call the parent, or the parent will say, we need to leave early for a dentist appointment. Imperfect means there's a conflict in what we're seeing in the database, meaning generally what it means is the kid is at school, but is absent from a class, which should not happen. It can happen the other way where the kid is absent from school and is marked present. That usually is a mistake by the teacher marking someone present that is not there. So imperfect means there's an absent and a present in the same day, which is confusing to the system. And imperfect sometimes can flag a problem like a kid skipping class. If they came to school, they're present. If they miss a class, they're absent. Imperfect does indicate that. So now let me highlight the biggest confusion here that usually causes a little bit of panic. Up here I see one absence for my kid, which is great. Then my eye comes down here and I look and I see absence 8. So how do those things relate? And if you had lots of absences, this number down here could be 20, 30, 40. Well, remember that if you're absent for a single day at Seattle Academy, you are going to miss 4 classes. So the number down here, this 8, what we really are looking for is how many of those were not from daily absences. So this student was absent once, meaning they had 4 absences because of that one day, and the rest of them may be other concerning behavior. such as skipping class. So let's look down the absence list. So unexcused, excused, total. So excused, 2 excused, 3 excused, 4 excused, 5 excused. Now, we know that 4 of those came from being absent for the day. One of them was probably from this early dismissal as well. So leaving at lunch, missed a class, that's probably where it came from, is an early dismissal will be marked as absent, excused for the class. Unexcused, we see 1, 2, 3 unexcused absences, and those are teachers taking attendance. Teachers, when they take attendance, can only mark the people tardy unexcused or absent unexcused because they are not talking to the parents. Let's look at the tardies. The tardy here, now if you're late for a single day, that only relates to one class that you're late to. Otherwise, you would be absent for your first class. So here, we look down, pre-algebra 7, 1 excused absence, there it is. So no unexcused absences. So that's somewhat of a simple example, and that's the overview. I'm just going to show you 2 more examples quickly just to see how this looks in different classes. So this is an upper school student with 47 days attended, lots more action in their daily report. This is, again, by day. Tardy unexcused means assign it at the kiosk. Tardy excused is coming from a parent. Early dismissal could be, looks like that's a doctor's appointment. Excused, 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 so. And then if I look down here at classes, you can see a concerning value, is it's 31, whoops, excuse me, 31 the class absences. Now, they were absent for a total of 8 days, which means they, just by missing school, should have missed 32 classes. 8 times 4 is 32. Now, they have 31, which is less than that. So that tells me that probably either a teacher marked them present when they were actually there, or something else kind of went a little sideways. Now, with an early dismissal, maybe they got an absence from that. So it's a little hard to tell exactly. But this 31 isn't, well, it's not concerning related to the 8 days of school. They're not skipping classes. They're just not at school. Again, they have different levels of concern. Now, I look at this 2 unexcused absences. So it looks like there was some 29 excused, meaning not there for the day, and 2 were the student wasn't in class. Now, I find this graph on the right here confusing. I think the only thing I really take away from this report for this student specifically is that something is going on with honor statistics. This person is missing and being late to this class a lot. So I don't like to read these colors, and somewhat I find confusing. So I would suggest not using it too much. But it just gives you a snapshot. I'm going to stop there with these examples. So we have hopefully that gives you some insight into how to read the attendance document. This document is available on Veracross under classes and reports. You can see your student's attendance record. It will only show for the current school year. If for some reason you would like to see attendance records for previous years, we can provide those to you, but we have to, they don't post to the website. So anyway, I hope that was useful. Thank you for your time.